Have you ever made a decision so quickly that you didn't even realize you were deciding? Like swerving to avoid a pothole, or instantly knowing someone's lying just by the look on their face? And then, there are those moments when you sit for hours, overthinking, weighing every possible outcome, trying to make the perfect choice, like deciding on a career move or choosing a life partner. Why do our brains operate in these two completely different ways? One instant and effortless, the other slow and deliberate. It's almost like we have two minds living in one head. Now imagine this. You're walking into a supermarket. You glance at a sign that says, "Limit, 12 per customer for a sale on soup." You weren't even thinking about soup, but now you're grabbing 6 cans. Why? You probably think it's a good deal or a smart choice, right? But what if I told you that the sign tricked your brain, not by logic, but by instinct? That, my friend, is the power of your fast-thinking brain being nudged by clever marketing, and you didn't even notice it. That's the world Daniel Kahneman unveils in Thinking, Fast and Slow. This book isn't just a collection of psychology theories. It's a revelation. It exposes the invisible forces shaping your decisions every single day, from the food you eat to the money you invest, from your deepest beliefs to the judgments you make in a split second. In this video, we're going to break down the core ideas of this mind-bending book, with real-life examples that hit home and stories that make these insights unforgettable. We'll explore how your brain has two systems, one fast, one slow, and how they often clash, conspire, and even deceive you. But don't worry, this isn't a lecture. It's a journey through the quirks of your own mind. So buckle up, because what you're about to learn might just change the way you think about thinking. Let's start at the core. Kahneman introduces us to two characters in our minds, System 1 and System 2. Don't think of them as actual places in your brain. Think of them like two modes of thought. System 1 is your autopilot, fast, intuitive, emotional. It helps you recognize faces, dodge danger, or finish common phrases like peanut butter. And System 2, on the other hand, is your slow coach. It's deliberate, analytical, and effortful. It's the system you engage when solving a tough math problem or reading a legal contract. Here's a little story to bring this to life. Picture a firefighter named Dave. One day, Dave is called to a routine kitchen fire. Nothing unusual. But as he walks in, something feels wrong. He yells to his team to get out just seconds before the floor collapses. Later, people ask him, "How did you know?" He can't explain it. He just had a gut feeling. That's System 1 in action. His brain picked up on subtle cues, smells, heat patterns. Without conscious analysis, it saved lives. But System 1 isn't always your friend. Let's test it. What's 2 plus 2? Easy. System 1 handled that. Now try 17x24. You felt it, right? That moment of mental struggle? That's when System 2 kicks in. It takes energy, attention, and it gets tired quickly. That's the catch. Your brain is lazy. It prefers System 1 because it's fast and cheap. But relying on it too much? That leads to errors, biases, and some serious blind spots. Let's talk about those blind spots. One of the biggest is called the anchoring effect. Remember the soup example? That limit 12 wasn't just a rule. It was a psychological anchor. It planted a number in your head. You think you're making a smart choice, but in reality your brain is being steered. Studies show that even judges can be anchored. Give them a high random number before they issue a sentence, and they'll give a longer prison term. It's wild and scary, and it doesn't stop there. Ever heard of the availability heuristic? That's when your brain judges the likelihood of something based on how easily examples come to mind. For instance, people think shark attacks are more common than they are, simply because they're dramatic and covered in the news. Meanwhile, something like falling off a ladder is way more likely, but it doesn't make headlines. System 1 is obsessed with stories, not statistics. Now let's zoom into another mental trap: substitution. When you're faced with a tough question, your brain often substitutes it with an easier one, without telling you. For example, instead of asking, "Is this politician competent?" you subconsciously answer, "Do I like them?" And just like that, your vote is cast based on feelings, not facts. All of this leads us to a powerful truth. You are not as rational as you think, and that's okay. Recognizing these patterns is the first step toward better decisions. Kahneman doesn't want you to ditch System 1. It's essential. But he wants you to train System 2 to be more alert, more active, especially when the stakes are high. Let me tell you another story, this time about investing. There was a group of professional stock traders who believed they had a feel for the market. They trusted their gut, System 1, believing it gave them an edge. But when researchers analyzed their performance, they found it was no better than random guesses. Worse, the more confident the traders were, the worse they did. That's the illusion of validity. When confidence fools you into believing you're right. Kahneman's research shows that confidence is often a poor indicator of accuracy. We fall into the trap of hindsight bias too, looking back at events and believing they were predictable all along. Of course, that startup failed, we say, conveniently forgetting that we once thought it was the next big thing. This isn't just a cognitive slip. In business, medicine, and even war, these biases cost lives and billions. And here's the kicker. Even experts aren't immune. In fact, the more experience someone has, the more likely they are to rely on their fast, intuitive thinking. That's great when the environment is stable, like chess or firefighting, but dangerous in unpredictable domains like the stock market or geopolitics. System 1 works best when it can learn from feedback. When it can't, it just guesses and convinces you it's right. Let's pause for a second. If all of this sounds overwhelming, don't worry. The goal here isn't to shut down your instincts. It's to become aware of when they might be misleading you. Kahneman gives us tools, simple questions to ask ourselves like, what else could be true? Or, am I anchoring on a number? Or, is my confidence justified? These small check-ins can activate your slow-thinking brain at just the right moments. Now imagine applying this awareness in everyday life. You're negotiating a salary. Your boss throws out a number first. That's an anchor. You recognize it. You pause. System 2 steps in. You counter with a well-reasoned case. You just avoided a psychological trap. You're watching the news. A terrifying story makes you anxious, but you remember the availability heuristic. You check the stats. You calm down. You're in control. This ultimately is the gift of thinking fast and slow. It doesn't promise perfection. It offers insight, a flashlight for your mind. It helps you spot the tricks your brain plays on you, not to shame yourself, but to navigate the world more wisely. And if you've made it this far, congratulations. You've been thinking deeply for a good while now. System 2 is still with us. But don't worry, you've earned a mental snack. Take a moment to reflect. How many of your recent decisions were made by instinct? And how many should have involved more thought? Before we wrap up, here's something Kahneman himself might say. Nothing in life is as important as you think it is while you are thinking about it. Let that sink in. Your brain shines a spotlight on whatever it's focused on. But just because something feels urgent or true doesn't mean it is. That's the magic and the madness of our minds. If you found this journey into the human brain fascinating, insightful, or even a little mind-bending, then you're exactly the kind of thinker we love having here. Subscribe to our channel and join a growing community of people who want to understand themselves and the world just a little better each day. There's so much more to explore. Hit that button and let's keep thinking together.